writers, because if you know what I mean when I say animation writers, they're all a bunch of, yeah, right. So what happened was, I chose cyberpunk writers before cyberpunk was even a thing. John Shirley, Arthur Byron Cover, Steve Barnes, Richard Mueller. All of these guys are novelists. They write science fiction novels, cyberpunk novels. Those were the guys that were there writing the dialogue and the continuity for the Sentinels. What I was doing was that every week I'd go home, and from Monday to Friday I'd have to write 10 episodes of the Sentinels. So I would write what are called plot points. And what it would be is, for lack of a better word, it would be overblown outlines, which the development of the story and the interrelationships between the characters were written down in an outlined form with paragraphs or pages of description whenever I felt necessary. Those things, and I had to write 10 of them a week, those things would then be handed out to 10 writers. Dwayne Capizzi, who's a very popular writer now for Saturday Morning, he got his start writing these things. He's like the guy that's doing Gummy Bears now, and he did Alf Tales and stuff like that. But I had really unique writers there who had no preconceptions about traditional syndicated animated storytelling. So what happened was, they were given really cool stories to work on. They wrote great dialogue, and it was just a matter of editing them into a really cohesive story for television. When the books were conceived, they had already written certain things in the first Robotech books, which they were compelled to bring into the series of the Sentinels to tie up loose ends that they had already created. So they eliminated certain elements of the plot that I had. They added things. They changed personalities to the point that it was, the essence of the story was the same, but the subtlety and the dramatic rhythm that I had created was different. It's really hard to describe, but the way I had it conceived in my head was that each week was going to be like a little movie, and it would be like, they would be connected as a 5-part story, but from Friday to Monday, the cliffhanger would be over, and the adventure would start again. The next part of the adventure would start on Monday, so there was always this type of tight connectivity, not this 85 episodes all telling the same story. And it worked very well as a structure for everyone that was involved in the project. And it's just unfortunate that it never got fully realized. I'm not really following the comics, but I think the comics are adapting the scripts fairly authentically, but I also think that they're taking elements from the books and dealing with that as well. So it's kind of like a hybrid again. And I have no criticism of that. I have no problem with that. I think that is the way the world is. I think that things change. I know that had the Sentinels been made completely, the novels would be completely different because there were so many strong images and story points that would have been expressed in the animation that they could not have ignored them, which they did in this particular interpretation. But that last book is, I don't even know where those stories are coming from. They're coming from Jake McKinney. They're not coming from me. I mean, what I wanted, is not really what's there. They talked to me about it, and I told them what my ideas were, and then they had to interface my ideas back into their book. And to me, it's very successful. To me, it's amazing that they're able to sell as many copies of those books. And for all practical purposes, their version is the version. And that's it. And that's the way I look at it. Their version is the version. I don't see it any other way.